Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Tokyo Yo Talk. My name is T, and today I'm joined by our next guest here. This is Jeremy Park of ZipLine Strings, which you should all know by now. And if you don't, what are you doing? Go get his strings right now if they're in stock. Um,
Uh, if there was some in stock.
right. And that's a good thing,
Hello,
right?
everyone.
Yeah. So before we get into like questions and stuff, do you want to tell us a little bit about ZipLine, your operation?
Sure. It actually started with we had my family and I had a little bit of a activity, I guess, where I wanted to teach them how to make yo-yo strings. I got kind of interested in it, and I researched how to make certain kinds of rope and string, and there are some yo-yo string tutorials out there as well. And I just kind of spent a good few days researching how to do it, and then I went out and bought a bunch of thread and came home, and we just as a family made our first yo-yo string, and it looked just like a yo-yo string, but it didn't work that well. But from that, I guess, experience, figuring out like, oh my gosh, we can actually make a yo-yo string that might work. I started experimenting with different types of thread until I found a combination of threads that actually started to bind correctly. It really just started out as an obsession to make a yo-yo string that actually worked really well, and then make one that I felt like worked better than other ones I was using. And I really didn't think that I was going to ever sell them or make a business out of it. I basically, in the beginning, just wanted to make them for myself. And then at the same time, I kind of wanted to see if other people might like them too, but not really to sell again. I was just, well, I like these a lot, and maybe somebody else might. And so I reached out to Tom at Throws and Brews because I had been watching his channel, and it was a little while before he responded back to me. I kind of just, I don't know, did a reply to some comment that he made about strings or something like that, and I mentioned that I was experimenting with making some of my own strings, and would you like to try them out? It was, I don't know, quite a few days, maybe a week or more, I can't remember exactly, but he private messaged me and said he'd love to check them out, and then I sent him some. They were basically the first 3 types of slushy edition strings that I ever finally had a good formula for, and he ended up liking them a bunch, and then asked me if I had if I was planning on selling them, and I was like, I don't know. But he kind of kick-started the whole thing because he shouted me out on YouTube and directed people my way, and I quickly got a Facebook account started for ZipLine Strings, and I was waking up to emails and people wanting to try the strings, and before I knew it, it was like, well, maybe I should try to sell these, I guess. And then it became like a serious obsession with, well, if people are going to buy these need to be really, really good, better than anything that I've been buying. And so I got super obsessed with getting the colors right, getting the thickness right. I spent late Saturday nights, till 2 or 3, sometimes 4 in the morning, spinning strings. I had a entire, like, in the back of my studio, I have a recording studio, and in the back I have this futon type couch thing, and I pushed it towards the center of the studio so I'd have room to work on some strings. And that whole entire futon was from the left side to the right side, there was yo-yo strings draped over the back of the futon. There was like probably like a couple hundred strings, and that was just like the evolution of me trying to get it right. And then, I don't know, I hit a eureka moment where several weeks into it, I found one that I really, really liked. In fact, I was like, oh my gosh, like I cannot believe how good this is. Then I decided, like, I think that this is the one I could sell. And then I took that formula, and then I just tried to make some cool colors, like really cool colorways based on the same string formula. And then I guess that's kind of how it got going. It's like a long-winded answer to that question.
No, perfect.
Perhaps.
No, it's so actually it leads really well into a question I had, was like, there wasn't really like you didn't see a hole in the yo-yo community that you could fill. It was more like almost like happenstance, like, I could do this kind of thing, more than like I'm gonna save this community. It was more like oh, I could do this.
Yeah, that never crossed my mind at all. It was mainly just, I didn't even know if there was a market out there to buy something that I was making, because I mean, there's so many string companies, you could buy strings from anyone. I didn't feel like there was anything necessarily missing. It's not one of those success stories where I'm like, none of the strings I've been buying are good or living up to my expectations. It was just, I wanted to make something that I thought was really good and be, proud of that, and be able to use something that I made, and if I felt it was worth something, that I'd share it with everyone else too.
And it seems like, I don't know, I think you're a big part of this, but there's sort of a string boom happening right now. You're seeing, it could just be because I'm getting more into it now myself, but it seems like there's a lot of companies coming out, and they're all making different things and kind of sending their stuff out for testing. Do you feel like has that always been a thing since you started, or do you think it really seems like the custom string or the boutique string thing is taking off now?
It feels like that's what's happening right now too, but again, I'm in the same boat with you, where I'm not sure if it's just because I'm starting to notice it now. I guess maybe I wasn't paying attention if that was going on already. But as I'm doing this thing, you get suggestions on Instagram like, oh, you might like this, or you should follow this, or whatever. I'm seeing more and more, people doing a similar sort of thing. I think it's cool, People are creating something that they're proud of, and they want to share it, and all are welcome to do so, I guess.
So my next question here is, so I guess this will probably be asked by somebody else, but I want to ask it. You mentioned that you mentioned how color was, making the strings look good is important. How do you choose the colors? Is that something, do you have like a plan, or do you just go into this, into a store and start combining things, like seeing how they look together?
My mind goes crazy with ideas of different color schemes. They kind of just happen organically. I don't go out and buy certain colors unless I already have it in mind, I guess. And now I have so many different colors that it's easy to do like color combos or whatever. Or I might have, something like, oh, I should try, something like I sent you that picture of the Hadouken fireball.
Oh yeah.
It's just like I had this idea like, oh, a string called Hadouken fireball. Like, what would that look like? Oh, orange and some bright blue and maybe some red streaks, and then I just go and make a bunch of different versions of it, maybe like 10 versions of it, and sometimes they just sit there and they don't do anything. But I have way more like crazy ideas for strings than I have time or production power to actually make. Originally I was only going to make 3 colors, and then it turned into 5, and I was pretty good on 5, and then I made 5 more, and then oh man, and then the signature strings, and now I think it's up to maybe close to 25
Jeez.
colors, plus the executive class ones that I may be doing too. So we're probably looking at like 28 colors or something. And it's crazy. I can't possibly produce all of those consistently. So
Right.
I feel like I'm doing, I'll go, oh, okay, this drop will do business class and, the signature colorways. And this drop we'll focus on slushies and maybe a couple of the neon performance based ones or whatever. But I don't know. I don't think I answered your question very good.
No, that was good. It actually addressed another question, which was like, how do you choose your drops? And basically it's a challenge.
Yeah, I try to just cycle through them. So there's maybe a sort of consistency with it, at least a certain type of, or a certain style of strings is at least being released once every other drop or something. But this is so new. I didn't officially open the ZipLine store until June 1st. So I mean, we're only going on 2 months, so I've only had probably like 5 drops.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on your Instagram, seeing like store opens that notification picture, and I was like, wait a second, I feel like I've been hearing about the strings for a while, and then I realized like that's what it takes, that ramp up. I
don't remember for sure, but I think it actually started in February, where I was just getting a lot of Facebook messages on our ZipLine Facebook page, and I would literally just make a list of everyone who was interested in strings and then find out what they were interested in, and it was almost like a custom order type thing. People told me what they want, and I tried to fulfill it by the end of the week and then ship out like 15 orders or something. And that was kind of going on from February until June, where it was just, message me and I'll tell you what I can do or what I can't do, or but I did have a set selection of strings I was making, and I had pictures of them, and I would message them pictures like, these are the 7 colors that we have, you can pick 5 packs and or make a custom 5-pack of your own as long as they're these colors. And that kind of just went on like that until I realized I couldn't keep up with that, because I had a waiting list that started happening, and eventually I just started getting a lot of anxiety because people would be on a waiting list for a very long time. I just had a hard time keeping up, so I decided to switch gears and go, you know what, if we have a store, we can just stock inventory, and people can buy stuff when we have inventory in stock.
Right.
So it made it a little bit easier. It took the pressure off of always feeling like you're behind or whatever.
Right. If you had your choice of your pick of the litter, so to speak, of any company that came to you and said, listen, Jeremy, we want to work with you, let's do a collab, what company would you go for? Who would you like to work with?
Oh man, G Squared yo-yos. That's my absolute favorite right now. I like the way Jake runs his show. It's really awesome. I love the channel. I love the sponsored players. The product is amazing. I'm to the point now where every time I go to purchase a yo-yo, I'm like, but what if G Squared does a drop, or something like that. It's like I would much rather give my money to Jake, because I really appreciate what he's doing. So if there was ever like one that I could pick, I would say G Squared, hands down.
Cool.
One Drop would be a very close second. I really love them too.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about One Drop too, I think, is you can buy their yo-yos all the time, right? So there's if you can't buy it at one store, you can find it somewhere else. And I mean, you can see too, like in a lot of our product photography, I'm a huge fan of One Drop.
Mhm.
I had this idea of photoing our strings with 3 similar yo-yos, a black, a white, a silver, and One Drop. It's very easy to find Cabals and Markmont. Those are really good throws.
I think you have kind of set an example and set a standard for having like a business that serves a niche need and making it really successful and making your product really desirable, right? So if you could do that with another thing, like if you could make something, it doesn't have to have anything to do with yo-yos. Like if there's another thing you'd like to make, what would it be?
I don't know. I've had this idea in my head of wanting to make a yo-yo. I have a it's not like an obsession yet where I'm like I have to do this. But I would love to team up with somebody who had the connections to make, I don't know, some of these ideas I have possible for a yo-yo design. Like I've drawn a bunch of pictures of it. Like I've sketched out stuff on pieces of notebook paper and measured the diameter and the width and the gap width and tried to make shapes and stuff like that. I think that would be something that I could see myself doing in the future. Not anytime soon though. I don't think that's probably a ways down the road. I do, I have a bit of an obsession with making these monkey fist begleries.
Oh yeah.
That's one thing. I have a ton of them. Like I've probably made like close to 60 or 70 of them.
Wow.
And they're brand new. Like they're not ones that I'm using or anything like that. I bought a ton of paracord around the time that it was around Idaho State's yo-yo competition. And I knew that some people might just want to buy something that was immediately accessible. Like with yo-yo string, most of the people there already have yo-yo string and they're there to buy stuff they can play with like right now or whatever. So I decided like I wanted to make something that people might be interested in buying now that look kind of cool and fun. So I made a bunch of monkey fist begleries, and we actually at Idaho State sold probably 75% more begleries than yo-yo string. We made most of our money on that. And then I still have like tons more paracord. And so like in between doing other things, like if I'm watching a movie or random spare time, I make those just kind of for fun. And so now I have a ton, and I do plan to sell them sometime, but I don't think, I kind of felt like if I put those up on the store, people would, maybe not take the strings as seriously. They might think like, oh, this guy's just out to sell any old thing or whatever.
Next is going to be fidget spinners.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Although I did make one out of paracord. I posted on my Instagram
That's awesome.
account a while back. My daughter, Kaylee, my 8-year-old, she has been asking, she had been asking for a fidget spinner for a long time because, of course, everyone at school has fidget spinners. And so I actually figured out how to make one with paracord. And it looks pretty cool, actually.
That's awesome.
And I was like, should I go down this road? No, I'm not going to. I kind of like making stuff with paracord. So I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with like a yo-yo holster or something out of paracord, or I don't know. Right now, I'll probably put all my focus on the strings, though, as far as what's going to sell. And these other things will just be sitting here accumulating, growing in numbers until maybe one day we'll go down that road too.
I would definitely buy the heck out of a dozen or so yo-yo holsters because those things constantly break on me, and I don't think they look as good as they should. So
Yeah.
you got one customer waiting. All right, so that's it for my questions here. Shall we get into our subscriber follower questions?
Oh, sure.
First one, I'm going to start with our Instagram post here. So this one's from Okay, let me try this again. Dragamoor Gaming, who says, "Do his kids enjoy making the strings, or do they consider it a chore like washing dishes? I'm sure they love it to help, but why not ask?"
Right. So they don't actually have to make any strings. I'm the one who's making all the strings. They help with well, it's mainly Kaylee, the 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
She, after I tie the initial knot on the end of the string, after I spin them, I kind of just throw them over some microphone stands that are kind of tilted sideways like a T, and I just like drape them over the top, and they just kind of just pile up, and I give her the opportunity if she wants to clip the knots at the end and clean them up. And I don't make them do any of it.
Right.
The only thing that I really make them do is sign cards. But Kaylee has like a few things that she can do if she wants to, and that's clipping the ends of the strings to clean them up. We have a map that we have in the garage. It's a map of the U.S., and as we get orders in, I put the pile of orders out, and we find where it is on the map, and we put like a sticky tab. And so she was really gung-ho about doing that for a while. That was kind of like a geography lesson too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where is Tucson, Arizona, or whatever, right? And so I would have my laptop out, and she could type in the city and state, find out where it is on Apple Maps, and then find out where it correlates on the actual physical map in the garage. And so that's kind of her animal that she's taken on when she wants to. I do pay them an allowance. If it's funny, I have this calendar that it's like each day is divided in 4 little sections, like and one says like clip strings, one says sign cards, one says map, and one says other. And for each thing that they do, they can write their initials in that box if they did it that day, and they'll get like 50 cents or whatever for each of the times that they put their initial in something. And then at the end of 2 weeks, when it's payday, I pay allowance. So it's totally up to them. If they don't want to do any of it, they don't have to. I'll do all of it. But to answer the question more directly, I guess, I don't think Addison, the youngest, I don't think she enjoys that too much. I think she thinks of it as a chore. Like I'm like, oh, it's time to sign cards, in the morning. Usually in the mornings, I look to see what's ordered. I try to fulfill the orders and package them and get them ready or whatever, and then I sign cards, and then all the cards that need to go out with the orders, I line them up at the breakfast table, and then I'm like, okay, everybody needs to sign these cards, and sometimes Addison's like, oh, again, But Kaylee, the 8-year-old, she's all about it. She really enjoys it. My wife enjoys seeing the amount of cards I'm writing, and I don't know, it's really it feels really personal, I guess. That's actually one of my favorite parts of the business, is being able to see like, oh my gosh, this guy's ordered from us 5 times, and I'll mention that in the card or whatever, and I try to make it as personal as I can, try to remember people that are coming back, and get my family involved with, like, there's this one guy we call Dr. Awesome. He's a doctor. He has doctor in his name, and I'll be like, hey, Dr. Awesome bought strings from us again, and then everyone like, oh yeah, Dr. Awesome. So we remember our faithful customers, and everyone seems to enjoy it.
That is awesome. Let's see here. Our next question is from Curly Fry Van. He says, "Is he up for doing custom string if I'd pay for it?"
Sure. No, we get some custom orders sometimes. Normally, I will try to squeeze those in when the store sells out and I'm making other strings and I'm not trying to crank orders out and I'm mainly trying to just work on stocking strings, and somebody has an idea and it's colors that I already have, then generally I'll try to help them out. I can't do it all the time, but if I can, I definitely I will.
All right.
But that's how the pink elephant and the pink melonade, I don't know if you saw those pink ones that I had up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Those came to surface because of something I actually messed up on. I forgot to mail somebody the right quantity of packs, and then they were like, since you're going to have to mail us 2 packs of strings, would you mind making them in hot pink instead or whatever? And I was like, oh, sure. I'll give it a shot. I had pink and I had an idea for some pink strings. We didn't really have one yet. And so it was a good opportunity to let me get those ideas out, and in somebody's hands. So sometimes those opportunities are really nice because it get to come up with ideas that I would have, thought like, oh, I don't have time to do that right now. But if somebody is wanting it and it's fulfilling an order, it's a good, and they don't have something completely specific in mind, but they have colors that they like. It gives me a chance to experiment with it and not feel like I'm wasting time, I guess. So I enjoy doing those when I can.
All right, cool. Blister to Twister asks, he says he loves your excitement when you discovered the right mix. He like reading about your story on the website. And he asks, any hints on the core string?
Oh, I will not reveal any specifics of the core string except for how I discovered it. So when I first started figuring out what strings are good and what threads are good and what ones are not going to work, or what ones wear out fast and which ones last a really long time, how I figured out what threads I wanted to use was like I would make a yo-yo string with only one specific type of thread, right? So the core thread that I use, I ended up using it because when I used that string like all by itself, it was hands down like the best, most durable yo-yo string I think ever that I've ever made. It was interesting because it didn't fray like bulk polyester typically does. Didn't break down the same. If anything, instead of fraying, it would be like, a thread might pull out and then you just have to stretch the string and it would like smash back or like fold back into the twist. But it was so solid and different than anything I'd ever felt. It bound perfectly. It seemed like it would last a really, really long time if I could make the strings just with that specific thread. But then what happened was I discovered what the cost per string was going to be. And it was so ridiculously expensive. Like the cost per string was higher than if you were to buy, a bulk pack of kitty string or something like that. It was like double or triple the cost of buying something already made.
Gee.
And I was like, who would want to, I don't want to make strings that each individual string costs more than ones I can buy already made, And at that time it didn't cross my mind that people would be willing to pay for a really high quality string, a good, a good price for a good quality string like that. So what I did was I ended up taking that thread and I was like, I have to use this though. How can I utilize this core thread, bring the cost down a little bit, but still make a string that performs the way this one does, right? And so basically what I did was I took that and I started blending it with other more like common, I guess, yo-yo string thread types. I just experimented with like, okay, what if I scale it back 2 more threads, or what if I scale it back 4 more threads? Oh, I got to add 1 more thread back to it, or whatever. And I went back and forth with that for a long time until I found a good balance of, or a good ratio between that core thread and the thread that I was blending it with. And then I was like, and then it was a really good discovery, because then it was like, oh my gosh, this has, you know, the softness of this type of string, but it has the durability of this type of string, and it binds really good, and I can get it in lots of cool colors. And anyways, I don't know if that really answers the question, but I guess that's how I discovered it, and I'm not going to release what it is specifically.
It's fine, yeah.
But I use it in almost all of the strings that I make, except there's only one exception, and it is Goldeneye and Clockwork Orange. Those are the only 2 that the core thread doesn't exist in, and it was because when I discovered those 2 thread types, they felt so kind of silky and smooth. There was something really special. Like I felt like, oh my gosh, we struck gold on this thread. It doesn't last as long as if the core thread is blended into it, but it feels really nice and fancy, elegant, I guess you could say. And then I was like, well, I got to make a version of this with core thread in it. So that's how Banana Cream and Orange Cream came to be, that are also in the business class edition. So they're basically Goldeneye and Clockwork Orange with the core thread. So if you ever want to tell the difference between, you know, what does it feel like with and without those, that would be the thing to play back and forth with.
Perfect. You managed to talk about all the good points, and you still didn't reveal your secret, so that's a perfect answer.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Success.
Yeah, ESO X Draws was asking about the excitement of creating your own string. You talked about that. Do you usually restock on the first of the month? Follow me on Instagram. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's move.
Oh, they wanted to know when I restock.
Yeah, basically. I guess. Yeah, sure.
Right now I'm hoping to do it every first and third Friday of the month. I think I'm going to go with that for a little bit. It's going to change though after August 31st. I should maybe share a little bit of information about that. So I've been a good friend of mine who's a skilled engineer. We've been working towards making a multi-string spinning station. And so when that happens, I'll be able to increase production quite a bit. And so I might replenish stock more frequently than that. But until then, it's probably just going to be twice a month.
Okay.
I am nervous about what's going to happen, though, with this spinning station, because I have a specific way that I like to unwind the strings, or it's hard to really explain without showing it, but I think the technique of making the string has a lot to do with the quality. And so what I worry about is when we switch all the formulas over to a multiple string spinning scenario, if the formulas will be the same, but because the technique's not the same, something might change. So even though it's going to be done, I guess the machine will probably be done by the 31st, I'm not 100% sure how long it will take to get to the point where it's calibrated in a way where I feel as confident in that as I do in the way I do it now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should have said that was from, again, Blistered Twister. So let's move over here. There's a couple questions on the picture that you posted on your Instagram. One was from Lohan97. Will you be making? Oh, this one hits close to home for me. Will you be making your strings available worldwide in the near future?
That is probably the first thing that I would like to do as soon as I figure out how to like increase production. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the multi-string spinning scenario is so I could wholesale to companies overseas. Because I know there's like a lot of people that contact us overseas that they really want to buy our strings, but it costs like $13 for shipping. And some people will buy one pack of strings that's like $4.50 and then spend $13 in shipping. And I feel so bad. It makes me feel terrible, actually. Like I'm thankful. I'm like really thankful that they're doing it, but I feel so like guilty. So, it's like I don't think anyone should have to pay more in shipping than they do on the product. And so I hope we'll continue in the States to sell direct. I don't plan on doing any retail in the US, but I would like to do a handful of them internationally. I think that would be cool, just so our friends overseas can get them at a more reasonable price. They're already more expensive than some things that you're used to buying, so I don't want shipping to increase it even more, more than it has to.
Right. Yeah, I do know that I feel like at least in Japan there's a desire for nicer stuff. You have a lot of yo-yo companies over here who make really, really premium stuff, and I know in Europe as well there's a kind of a big scene depending on where you are. But even the first person I interviewed, Matilde Witt of iYoYo, it's not in the interview, but she asked me off the air about Bushido Baby, and said, like, I know you have your own strings. Can I get those? Are they going to sell them in Europe? There's definitely word is spreading.
Oh, cool. Those are really, really awesome to play with, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest, when I sent you that package, I didn't make any for myself. Like I tested in the beginning, I tested the first couple to make sure that they worked, but they weren't quite right. But then as soon as I got the color right, I made your strings, and then they got shipped, and then I didn't even write down like what the thread count was. And so that's why I messaged you, and I was like, please dissect the string so I know how many reds and how many whites. And and once you sent that information over, I was like, oh, okay. I think the thread count that you sent to me was off by 2 threads.
Wow, that's amazing that you could tell that.
Yes, and it's because I don't have any strings that are lower than 24 count, and I think your total is like 22.
Okay.
And I was like, I know it's not 22, but if I add one more white and one more red, that makes 24. That's probably what it was. 2 of those probably stuck together or fell on the floor. So, but anyway, so I've been playing on the Bushido Baby ever since that conversation, and I'm getting really stocked up on them. I could literally drop them tomorrow if I wanted to, but
awesome.
But I'm gonna wait and let the anticipation build. But they play super good, and I think it's actually a good blend between the slushy and the business class, because it's using strings from both formulas, I guess. So it strikes a good balance. I think you described it in one of your videos, like it strikes a good balance between grippiness and softness or whatever.
Oh yeah, like not to put down, like, I love all the strings I've played with. I'm still going through a lot of them. Thanks again for the package. But it's like
absolutely.
Every time I come back to, I'm being very, very stingy with them because I don't want to use them up. I know they're really long lasting, but like I only have them, I think, on a few yo-yos right now, just because I'm like, I want to save them for my favorite. But
that's how I am too.
Yeah.
Totally.
Whenever I come back to one of the yo-yos with that on there, I'm like, oh my God, it's like so perfect for at least for me, like they feel thin but not like weak, and they whip really well, and they're soft.
And they bind really strong.
Oh yeah.
They're really good. I like them more and more the more I use them.
Mm.
I like the fact too that it's red and white, because while in motion it makes kind of a strong pink color into my eyes. That is one thing that I try really hard with the strings, is how does the string look in motion? Like what ultimate color am I going for? And that's how some of the blends came about, like specifically the slushy ones, you know, like you mix purple, white, and pink, it looks like a specific like purplish color. The original slushy Bust a Lime, because it was like yellow at first. It was yellow, blue, and white, and you know, in motion that makes kind of a neon, like glowy green color, which is, I think, is kind of cool, and it shows up good on camera. Right. But anyways, I'm sidetracking totally. Sorry. No. This is how my mind works, man.
It's fine. It's fine.
Million miles a minute.
No, conversation goes anywhere. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But yeah. Just I was actually even showing them off at work, because I usually bring my yo-yos to work. They knew about ZipLine because I had told them about it. But when I came in, I'm like, look, that's my logo. That's oh my goodness. Oh my God. And they're like, yeah. It's even people who didn't know about strings could see, like, wow, that's really nice looking, like, because it's craftsmanship, you know.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I feel like that too. I really like that one. I feel like the other one that we're working on, the blue, I feel like I want it to play as good as the Bushido Baby, and so I haven't figured that out yet, so I'm still working on that one. But that one's gonna be really cool too. Hopefully it looks cool. I want to add white back to it. That's what I think will help it, because right now I think we ultimately picked the blue with black thread. I don't think I'm spoiling too much information here.
No, it's fine. It'd be an exclusive.
But I think if we fold a little bit more white into it, it'll make it slightly more visible. So I've been playing back and forth between the blue and black and the blue and white. And the blue and white just, I can see it better. So, while in motion, of course. So, but when it's perfectly still, I like the blue and the black one. So if we fold some white into it, I'm thinking maybe get the best of both of those. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Nice. Okay, so most of the questions we've already answered, but the last one here is kind of interesting. Has there been a type or a colorway of yo-yo string you really wanted to design, but it just never worked out?
Yes. So when I was working to figure out Dylan Kowalski's colors, we originally were going to have the Bubble Vicious, which originally was going to be called like Cotton Candy or something generic like that, right? But and then the other colorway was going to be neon green and purple, which in theory, and when you look at it on like color splashes and stuff on yo-yos, looks really good. Even, I mean, in fact, I like those colors so much, my studio has painted those colors. I have alternating walls of purple and neon green.
That's awesome.
Right? Like I love that color combo, but for some reason, the yo-yo string, when it's all like twisted together, overlapping those two colors together, it doesn't look that good at all. No matter if I did, 70% green and 30% purple, or if I added white to it, or did a 50-50 split, or more purple than green or whatever, no matter what, while I was spinning or when I was playing with it, it just doesn't look good. Like, you mix a lot of colors together and you get brown or something.
Right.
Some string color combinations end up being kind of that way. For example, like the one that we we're working on with the neon green, neon pink.
Right.
And then you mix them together and it just makes this kind of, I don't even know what color that became. Kind of almost like a strawberry blonde with green highlights. It's just kind of weird if you imagine somebody with hair like that or something, right? It's like it looks kind of dirty,
right?
Exactly. So
it muddies
some color combos, no matter how much I want them to work, sometimes they just get thrown in the garbage. Like I have to make that Toki Yo-Yo, the second color, when we did the green and the pinks, like I literally have, I think, 40 or so prototypes of it.
Wow.
That are just sitting, they're just sitting in my workstation. Like I'm not sure what to do with those. Like, do I add them to my yo-yo ball? Like I have a yo-yo string ball that I made.
Right.
But like they're perfectly good strings.
Right.
I don't want to waste them. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It might serve a purpose someday. And so I'm just getting like gobs of yo-yo strings put in drawers that.
Right.
I have a couple of fairly good size like yo-yo package delivery boxes full of strings that never saw the light of day.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I don't know what to do with them. Maybe I'll like auction them off or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if you did like a sort of how companies do like the B grade or the glitches with G2 or G squared. You just say like, these didn't work out, but they play real good, and
yeah.
I'm sure
I
people
did
would
something
be
like
for
that with the version 1 of antifreeze. After those had been circulating for a while, and I played with them more and more and more, I started to feel like they should have been wound more tightly. And then I had I'd say like 100 or so, maybe 150 or so antifreeze that I was just going to toss and then start over with a tighter wind. And so they got put in a glitch pile. And then I came up with the idea, well, I'll just give all these away. I'll give one of these away with every order until they're gone. And then I announced it. I put up a flyer. I said, version 1.0 of antifreeze, with every order until they're gone. And so I did that until they were gone. Because they still played really well. I mean, at one point I was like, yeah, this is where it's at, and I was using those for a long time. And I just changed my mind, down the road. And so anyways, I think I'm going off on a tangent again. But so yes, I have like glitch piles and B grade piles where I do plan on in the future maybe just like selling them at a significantly reduced rate, like maybe a quarter or a third of the price or something. If you order other stuff, pick up a glitch pack, these are fine, it's not the colors I was hoping for or something. But at the same time, I don't want somebody to get something and it's not representative of what I do. And they play on it and are like, oh, this is crap, and like these guys make crap. Oh, wait, this is the glitch one, I forgot. So there is that thing kind of holding me
that
back.
Makes sense. Yeah. You kind of,
maybe if it was free, I guess that's a different story. But
yeah.
I don't want somebody to pay for something that's less than the best of what I can do.
Exactly. And like you said, you risk putting that negative, I think it's a strong word, but putting that negative taint on the reputation of the product, even though the person who's playing it at that or buying it knows, anybody else who gets it, or if they forget and they say like, oh, I don't like this as much as I thought I would, I'm just going to go get some kitty or something. But there's always that danger that if you're not putting out 100% all the time, that you're going to lose someone.
I have this constant anxiety about the first, couple of months that I was trying to figure it out and people were buying strings. I have this like constant anxiety that some of those people are like, his strings are to this or to that, or, like they don't have the proper picture of what they are, because right now I feel like they're what they should be. But in the beginning there was a bit of a process where I was still trying to find. I was still tweaking it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But people were wanting them before I was like fully developed in my craft, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, you know, they want them, so
Right.
I can't just ignore them, or else they might not ever want them again, or
Right.
whatever. But I think we're in a good place now, and I gotta try to figure out how to get over those anxieties, I guess.
I see where you're coming from with that. Like, actually, it's not I mean, Tokyo-Yo's not paying the bills, or I'm not making anything off of it. But those first, I'm still not happy with the quality of the reviews. I want them to get better, but those first few are rough, and I want to. I've a few times let my finger hover over the delete button, and I'm just like asking my wife, should I do this? Should I do this? And she's like, don't George Lucas it. Let it breathe and let it, it's representative of where you came from. But still, I worry.
That's really true.
Yeah. I just worry that one person's going to come along and see that Big Bang review and be like, oh man, this is bad, and never watch anything else again.
Yeah. They're all good though. I've seen every single one. So
Thank you.
I never noticed anything where I was like, but I watched them successively, right? So as you progressed, it kind of was like this natural evolution of it, where like it wasn't any night and day thing that I got to experience. Like, I'm not watching episode 1 now after watching episode wherever you're at now. I don't know how many you've done. 60? I don't know. Have you done that many?
I think just about, yeah. Almost there.
They're awesome, by the way. I think you do an excellent job.
Thank you
very thorough and just pleasant to watch.
Thank you.
And very informative and articulate. And it's entertaining. So I'm a big fan.
Thank you. The biggest thing that makes me crazy is just when I go back and watch, and there's so many uhs in there that I didn't cut, and that makes me so crazy. Is like, welcome to my show today. So, and I'm just like, why didn't I cut that 10 seconds?
I say a lot, and when I see, I just did it. When I look at, I've actually done a lot of unboxings and yo-yo reviews that I've never posted, not a single one of them, because I say so much that I had to cut up all the footage, and it just looks so choppy, and I'm just never gonna put those out. I'm too self-conscious, I guess. But I don't notice that. I don't notice you doing that. You might edit really nicely, though. So
a lot of reviewers these days, or just a lot of YouTube videos, I think we're accustomed to seeing more of those, a lot of rapid cuts. So I think I just picked it up early, and that's kind of the style of YouTube now. Is it's like short little scenes instead of having a long. In fact, if I have a shot longer than 10 seconds, I sometimes worry, like, ooh, did I forget something?
Yeah, it helps move things along.
Right.
Those quick cuts. I totally don't mind it.
Oh, you should put
like
stuff
it.
out, man. I want to see Jeremy Park reviews.
They're not very good. I just don't like them. I feel like I just don't think I'm good on camera, I guess. That's the thing. I get camera shy, and I feel like what's happening is I'm putting on a show trying to make myself not be stupid, you know? And so because of that, it's like not me, right? I'm looking at him like, that's not how I act. Oh, that's because I'm trying to act not like a complete gomer or whatever.
Now, sometimes I'll run stuff past my wife, like, what do you think? Does this sound weird? And she'll be like, she thinks the puns are terrible, and obviously, but she'll just be like, well, what are you trying to do? Act all smooth there. What are you doing? And I'm like, sorry. Like, you do have to put
I love the puns.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
awesome.
But there's
They're
a certain
fun.
element of character. I think it helps, at least for me, to feel less nervous, to be a little different. Maybe you can do that, I think, to a certain extent, especially if you want people to be, engaged by it. You can, I feel like putting a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word? It's really hard to explain, but it's because I did acting for many, many years. So I'm used to like
cool.
putting on a bit of a character, because if I try to do it as myself only, I'll freak out.
That's cool though. It works. It's working really well.
Thank you. One last thing here. Is one more question okay?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
it's fun.
You mentioned, I think it was in an email or one of our first correspondences, and obviously, people who are listening to this episode are going to notice, hopefully, if this all works out, a difference in audio quality. Don't get used to it unless the guest is equipped, but in this
Right.
case, he is. But you mentioned that you've done music before. I was wondering if
Oh yeah.
you could tell me a little bit about that before we wrap up today.
Oh sure. So from a very young age, I was into music, choir class, piano lessons, guitar lessons. I played in bands, played acoustic guitar, electric guitar, drums, bass, keyboards, like you name it. Like I got involved with all. I even like DJ'd for a little while.
Nice.
That was an interesting phase. Eventually, how old was I? Probably around 22 or 23. I moved from Idaho to Seattle, and with my wife, of course, and a couple friends. And I went to school for audio production at the what is it called? The Art Institute of Seattle.
Mm.
And I was like, I really wanted a career in music. That was the only thing I could picture myself doing. I was in a band in Seattle for a while as well. I fell so in love with the technical side of music, recording, production, mixing, mastering, all that kind of stuff through the process of just being in bands and things. And so I pursued the school thing. I got a degree in audio production. Then I worked at recording studios. I worked at probably 3 different recording studios in Seattle, and then I kind of started my own freelance producer / engineering business, and that was going really well for a while. And then Danielle and I got pregnant with our first child, and Seattle was not a very cost-effective place to. I don't know. It was going to be crazy because I knew Danielle was going to quit working, and working in the recording studio, even working at 2 recording studios, was not going to pay well enough to support us. And so, and all of our families in Idaho, so we moved back home, and then I started my own kind of audio production / studio business here from my home. Built up a recording studio and just recorded and mixed lots of bands, and started to get into sound for video and film. And I started a business with a friend of mine called Audio Brander, and we did specialty music for marketing purposes. And what else? What else happened? So I still actually I don't do it as much as I did, but up until I discovered this yo-yo string thing and went crazy with it, I was staying pretty busy with studio work. I also have a full-time day job. I work in like finance. I do check cashing, loans, things like that, typical all-American banking job type thing. So did I answer your question very well? Oh, okay. Yeah. So when we moved here to Idaho, I hit that recording and mixing really hard and had a couple of big projects break through. And that got me a big blast of business. And so I was doing that full time for a while. And then when Danielle finally quit her job, I needed to replace her income. So that's when I went back into the retail finance thing, so I could get insurance and have a steady paying job, and I could do audio too. And then now I'm kind of replacing the audio business with the string business, just because I don't know, that's what's happening, and that's where my passions are right now.
Right.
And I've just been having a ton of fun with it, and so I'm doing less audio and more of this. I'm spinning strings like constantly. It's kind of out of control right now, but I'll try to find a good balance hopefully here soon, where I can figure out how to have more free time, I guess. Right now there's no free time, but when you're in the beginning stages of a business, I guess that is expected.
Correct.
You know.
Yeah. Well,
did I answer your question very well? I feel like I went off.
No. That was
on a tangent.
No, you'd mentioned before that you were into like audio engineering and stuff, so that was perfect. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
lots of things to do. Not enough time, not a long enough lifespan to complete all of it in.
Gotta do what you can.
I wish there was more hours in the day. I wish we could sleep less or not at all. I have so many things I'd like to try, and so many things I'd like to do. It's not fair that we don't have enough time to do it all. It's crazy.
I know what you mean.
Anyways.
Well, on that note, I wish I didn't have to sleep.
Right.
No, I totally get it.
What time is it over there?
No, for me it's fine. It's 3 p.m. right now.
Oh, it's 12 a.m. right now, which is still quite early for me.
Oh, wow.
I'd probably go to bed in another couple hours.
Jeez.
I was just say I'm up till like probably 2 or 3 probably about 2 every day, every night, morning, whatever.
Just with the strings, right?
With the strings and things related to it. Because, when you work a full day job too, it's like, where else are you going to find time? Especially when you have kids, right? Because you got to pay attention to your kids too. So mainly it's like, when they're asleep, that's when everything happens. Or, I wake up at 5 a.m. a lot too. So sometimes I'll go to bed at 1, wake up at 5. It's crazy. I'm not as tired as I should be. I think I've trained myself pretty well.
Beaten the need for sleep. Well,
yeah.
Jeez. So this was the first interview I've had that was I could speak at full volume. Yeah, the first one was she's from Germany, so that was at 11 p.m. and then the other two have been at 5 a.m. So this is the first time I've actually been speaking in my normal voice. The other ones I'm like, yeah, so anyway, I've
seen some of your reviews or unboxings that were like that.
Right.
Baby sleeping next door.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, I was interviewing, as I said, Nate from G Squared yesterday, and he said, I'm outside because the boys are inside. #dad life.
Nate seems like a really cool dude. Yeah, he's a really good yo-yo player too.
Yeah,
I love his style. Yeah. Super laid back. Chill, creative, awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. Like you can see elements of that in Jake's as well, I think. But like they're they're totally different. But yeah, just like the smoothness and like there's no rush to it. It's very deliberate though. It's just like, oh man.
Yep, you're kind of getting that too now.
Oh no.
I think you have a really cool, smooth style as well.
Thank you. I'm actually trying to emulate that. Like my favorite player right now is like Jonathan Best.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying
really good.
Trying to go for that like bouncy, like follow the yo-yo kind of thing.
You know who my favorite player is right now?
No, tell me.
Tessa Pachillo.
Oh yeah.
Man, she is so good. But sometimes I watch like her trick tutorials and I like hate myself. Like I'll just like, this should be easy. Look, she's doing it and it's so easy and I can't do any of it. But she's really good. She's a technical player.
Right.
She's awesome. And I like Evan Nagao too.
Oh,
he's totally different. Like he has bangers, right? Like huge, like loud style, which I like. It's fun, entertaining.
I don't think any of his routine is like not a banger, or it's like if it's not, it's like setting up for the next 5 seconds there's going to be another one. It's like there's no rest in those routines. It's amazing.
Yep. He'll do these like huge tricks and then all of a sudden like this super fast techie thing with some like ultra fast music and then back to huge outrageous tricks again.
One thing I really want to emulate, I'm trying now with is in Tessa. Actually, I've been watching a lot of her videos. She binds so hard. Like whenever she throws
I've noticed
bind,
that.
it's like, pah! I'm just like, oh my.
They snap.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how she does that.
I don't know. I think it's like a quick release and a fast flick of the wrist with your throw hand or something. I don't know, but I have this these executive class strings I've been working on. It's a very kind of slick, smooth polyester that doesn't fray hardly at all. It makes that sound all the time, no matter what.
Nice.
It's pretty neat. Like, it makes you sound way more aggressive than you are. But
that's awesome.
So if you wanna try those out, you'll have some pretty loud sounding binds. I've been what yo-yo does that the loudest? I've noticed it with the G squared Banshee. Like, it just, that yo-yo rings so neat when you bind it like that. But with these different polyester strings that I've been messing around with, it does it even louder. It sounds like one of those bells at, like a hotel front desk, where it's all like, if you were to hit the bell and then stop it with your other hand, the ring, it's like very loud and pronounced sound.
That's awesome.
But anyway, it's fun. It's very satisfying to hear that.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for today. This was loads of fun.
Absolutely, man. Anytime. And it was fun. Yeah. This is the first time I think I've been interviewed for this, so
cool.
Thank you very much as well. Appreciate it.
No problem. And I'm hoping at some point, well, for sure, I'd love to have you back on. And then I've been kind of toying with the idea of having previous guests back on together, or having people who I think would be interesting or fun together, having them as guests at the same time. I'm not sure how that would work, but if you're ever open to that kind of thing, or if you, I guess I should have put this up front, but I have one as of now, signature line with string line with ZipLine Strings. Another is coming whenever it works the way we want it to, or the way you've worked it out, wizard.
Yeah, hopefully sooner than later. I was hoping that it would piggyback like 2 weeks afterwards, but we'll see. If it's perfect, then we'll do it 2 weeks after. But
and if you ever have anything that you want to come back on and talk about, you can let me know anytime. Is there anything you'd like to promote as we head on out of here?
Could do some shout outs. Dylan Kowalski, Sam Hicks, and Tom Velto. They've been so awesome with helping promote ZipLine Strings, and if it wasn't for them, we definitely wouldn't have quite the turnout, and so I owe them a lot of gratitude, and same to you, T. Really appreciate your support as well.
No
and
problem.
G2 Jake, shout out to him too for making awesome yo-yos and being really cool to ZipLine Strings as well.
It's easy to support you when you make awesome stuff and you're a cool dude, so keep doing that and you got no problem.
I will definitely do my best. Thank you.
But yeah, please everyone go check out ziplinestrings.com, and whenever stuff is available, go get all of it. Send him messages about how awesome him and his family are. Check him out on Instagram. It's just ZipLine Strings, right?
Yes, I believe it's just the Instagram /ZipLine Strings.
Okay.
And then same with the Facebook, same with the website.
All right, very good. Well, at the end of these things, I like to ask the guest if they want to say the Tokyo-Yo sign-off catchphrase.
Until next time, sayonara.
Oh, you nailed it. That was it.
Was that it?
There. That's it. Keeping it. I will.
Did I do that right? I think that's what you do.
That's fine.
Or you go sayonara.
You could use that one too, actually.